Lex Luthor has accomplished the impossible. Borrowing a page from Icarus's playbook, he gives Superman skin cancer, so to speak. With only 11 more issues until he expires, or just enough time to sit through a long and boring feature film, how does Superman ration what little time he has remaining? This is the story of a timeless classic, All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison. Science man Leo Quintum spearheaded the project's initiative to create superhuman lifeforms, ranging from building-sized titans to microscopic nanonauts. In any case, he's out to sample the sun like a Costco shopper, only his expedition has been compromised by Lex Luthor. Not because the vessel is made by OceanGate, but because the Baron Harkonnen snuck away from the Dune universe and he's rigged to blow. Fortunately, Superman saves the day. Unfortunately, an unwarranted suntan means his oversaturated cells are exploding like Samsung's Galaxy Note 7s. Anyhow, Luthor's too evil for a virtual private network, meaning the FBI are pounding on his door. And with his days numbered, Clark reveals his secret. Smallville proceeds to give a skeptical Lois a tour of his man cave. Among other things, here's a weapon that can kill him, a walkie-talkie for the future, a baby sun-eater, and a perverted room with her anatomy on full display like an HBO series which he tells her not to worry about. Naturally, it's all she thinks about. Lois concludes there's only one reason he brought her here, as she begins to soil her undergarment. To repopulate the Kryptonian race. Well, that's one way of finding out you're immune to kryptonite. Lois ruined her surprise anyway, so Smallville tips his hand. Here's a serum replicating his powers for a day, complete with a skimpy superhero starter pack. Happy birthday, Lois. Samson and Atlas's empty-headed peanut brains contain nothing but intrusive thoughts for Lois and will do anything to win her love. She goes along with it because, why not, until she finds herself frozen in paralysis because her new necklace belongs to a grumpy Egyptian hall monitor from dinosaur times. Superman's life-canceling suntan has somehow blessed him with a 12th level intellect, which he uses to rescue Lois. I always knew Superman could take two guys at once. Wait, what? He shakes off the two nut jobs in a Richard measuring contest, followed by a mouthful of carbon dioxide on the moon to round out their date. For his next column, Jimmy puts himself into the shoes of Project's director, Leo Quintum. The company's magnum opus is the discovery of a portal leading into the Underverse, a backdoor into a theoretical basement of our universe, if you will. The Boy Scout retrieves the item they're mining for and voila! Black kryptonite. This variation turns them into Kim Jong Superman pretty much immediately. The building-sized titans are no match for a rogue Superman, and Jimmy's got less than 1 minute before the experimental doomsday steroid overwhelms him. However, the Man of Steel starts doing face muscle exercises when he realizes he's dying. If you thought Adrian Brody delivered a long and boring speech during the Academy Awards, Lex Luthor babbles about how he despises his nemesis like an unskippable YouTube ad. After all, he's been given a death sentence for his crimes against humanity. Lex always had a hard-on for power and control, even more so than Putin, but developing the lunch menu for Stryker's prison is the closest he'll get to realizing his vision. Just then, Parasite stumbles into the biggest buffet of his life, but the blueberry-flavored pudding makes a fool of himself and clumsily collapses on his own weight. Ultimately, the final boss is apathetic towards his fate because he can die happy knowing he killed Superman. The Superman of 82,250 drops by with a lifetime supply of toilet paper, as well as a fifth-dimensional imp. They're on the prowl for something called the Chronovore, a monster of indescribable proportions aging anything it touches. Just imagine a cow instantly turning into a few thousand Big Macs. The last son of Krypton gets carried away trying to be the main character, and in those precious 3 minutes, Pa suffers a life-canceling heart attack. Turns out Band-Aid Superman is an older version of our Superman who only wished to see his Pa one last time. They are then joined by their supreme leader to pay respect in remembrance of all that they are and all that they will be. Quintum discovers a sentient planet permeating in the Underverse. A few pages later, Metropolis is bombarded by an army of Bizarros. Likewise, Superman dances with his counterpart who makes it incredibly difficult by constantly stepping on his cape. Until he isn't. When Quintum identifies yellow sunlight as their weakness, Superman literally manhandles an entire planet using its vast oceans as a mirror to vanquish the invaders like glistening vampires. However, red sunlight has diminished his powers and rendered him a prisoner on Cube World as it retreats into the Underverse. Out of the blue, a Bizarro who came pre-installed with a brain introduces himself as Zabaro. He represents a 1 in 5 billion chance of spawning without an empty-headed peanut brain, which coincidentally are also the chances of DC renewing Young Justice for a 5th season. Superman can only imagine how lonely it must be for the non-zero IQ with nobody to share his thoughts and feelings with. In any case, everybody bands together to construct a rocket, and with Zabaro's poem in hand, the Man of Steel is yeeted back home. Somewhere during all that, Lois learns the truth about Superman's condition. Kryptonian astronauts Bar-El and Lilo, and Stitch, who went missing years ago due to Apple Maps, have installed themselves as Earth's new champions. The condescending couple are bewildered by Kal-El's decision to nurture this planet. When Superman vanishes mid-fight to collect his paycheck, the Kryptonians laugh at his clown show until they plunge from the skies without warning. They've contracted a disease which mutates their cells into kryptonite. Despite their warm welcome, Kal-El shows them compassion, and they finally see that he embodies the very heart and soul of Krypton. Ultimately, the Nutjobs agree to relinquish themselves into the Phantom Zone, hoping Superman finds a cure. There is a lot to unpack here, but this is procrastination if I've ever seen it. Superman takes up journaling, talks a kid out of it like a CW show, makes a guest appearance on the Magic School Bus, rescues Lois, and generally inspires hope around the world. The last son of Krypton even takes the shrunken city of Kandor onto Mars so that they don't take our jobs, because that's what AI is for. All the while, Quintum's nanonauts are working overtime inside his bloodstream to keep him on life support. However, the non-existent American healthcare infrastructure means that these children require the artificial white blood cells more than him. Additionally, Superman created an entire universe as an allegory of ours to study a world without Superman. Who would have guessed Superman shares the same guilty pleasure as any of us, doom-scrolling? When Luthor's secret ally finally pulls up and begins molesting the sun, Superman takes the fight to Solaris, where the not-so-baby sun-eater from earlier gives its life to help Superman shut down the unlicensed tanning salon. Shortly after, Mr. Kent sprints across the backrooms of the Daily Planet because he's never missed a deadline in his career. This is when the final boss literally makes his entrance. Moments ago, Lex Luthor postponed his execution, having disguised a 24-hour Superman starter pack in his homemade toilet wine. Lex Luthor evaluates the extent of his abilities based on how he fares against the underpaid keyboard warriors of the Daily Planet. Superman has no hope of ever winning a spirited exchange in his current condition, but he's counting on an X Factor. Almost as if on cue, the Nutjob starts doing face muscle exercises as he absorbs the beauty of the world in a way he never imagined possible. Even so, he is not evil enough to enter his credit card into a free trial as his 24 hours conclude. Smallville kisses Lois farewell and flies off to control Zed, the damage Solaris did to our sun, thereby saving the world. 1 year later, Lois awaits his return, while project is well underway on a Superman sequel. That was the story of All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison. Make of this what you will, I'm just a messenger.